Leo had earned himself a reputation as the most difficult student at Crestwood High School. He was always talking back, skipping class, and disrupting lessons. No matter how many times he was sent to detention, his behavior never improved. Teachers grumbled about him in the staff room, but one teacher, Miss Clara Evans, had a different perspective. She didn't see Leo as a lost cause. She saw a boy crying out for guidance, even if he didn't realize it himself. Miss Clara was determined to help Leo, but her methods would be unconventional. It was a Friday afternoon, and once again, Leo found himself in detention. He slouched in his seat, glaring at the clock as though his defiance could make time move faster. Miss Clara, the supervisor, watched him quietly from her desk. She'd been observing Leo for weeks, noticing the patterns in his behavior. Beneath his tough exterior, she suspected was a boy who desperately needed someone to take control. "Leo," she said, breaking the silence, "do you ever wonder why you're always in trouble?" He scoffed, "Because teachers like you have it out for me." Miss Clara didn't rise to the bait. Instead, she smiled softly. "I think you just need someone to teach you how to behave. Maybe detention isn't enough." Leo rolled his eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" Miss Clara simply stood, walking over to his desk. "It means we're going to try something different today." Miss Clara subtly adjusted the thermostat, letting the room grow warmer. She handed Leo a water bottle and insisted he drink it, using her authority to ensure he complied. Leo, annoyed but thirsty, gulped it down without much thought. Over the next hour, Miss Clara continued to work at her desk, keeping an eye on Leo as he shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Miss Evans, can I go to the bathroom?" Leo eventually asked, his voice tight with irritation. "Leo, detention rules are clear. No leaving the room." Leo squirmed. "Come on, I need to go." Miss Clara shook her head. "You'll have to wait. Actions have consequences, Leo." The minutes ticked by, and Leo's discomfort grew unbearable. Finally, he let out a frustrated noise and froze. A dark stain spread across his jeans, and he realized, to his utter humiliation, that he'd wet himself. Miss Clara stood, her expression calm but firm. "Oh, Leo, this is exactly what I mean. You can't even handle something as basic as asking permission properly." Leo flushed, shredded by mortification. "It's your fault. You wouldn't let me go." Miss Clara placed a hand on his shoulder, her grip surprisingly steady. "No, Leo, this happened because you're not ready to handle responsibility. But don't worry, I have a solution." Miss Clara excused Leo to the adjoining storage room, handing him a bag with fresh clothes. But when Leo opened it, he found not just sweatpants, but also a diaper. "You can't be serious," he said, holding it up. "I'm completely serious," Miss Clara replied. "If you can't act like a grown-up, then you'll be treated like someone who isn't ready for grown-up responsibilities." Leo's protests fell on deaf ears. Reluctantly, and under Miss Clara's watchful eye, he put on the diaper. The sweatpants did little to hide the crinkling sound as he moved. When he returned to the detention room, Miss Clara nodded approvingly. "There we go. Now, if you can behave, this won't happen again. But if you continue acting out, you'll find that this might just become your new normal." Over the weeks, Leo's transformation under Miss Clara's care became more profound. At first, he struggled against the humiliation of the diapers, pacifiers, and bottles. But Miss Clara had a way of making it feel like he was being cared for, rather than punished. Her nurturing tone softened every reprimand, and her consistent affection became something Leo craved. Miss Clara had an uncanny way of anticipating his needs. She started bringing extra items to detention: a baby blanket to drape over his lap, sippy cups filled with juice, and even a soft bear she placed on his desk. "For when you're feeling fussy," she had said, winking. Leo initially balked, but as the days passed, he found himself absent-mindedly hugging the bear during detention. One day, Leo came to detention in a particularly foul mood after a fight with another student. Miss Clara greeted him with her usual calm demeanor, but when he started snapping at her, she simply walked over and placed a pacifier in his hand. "Enough," she said firmly, but gently. "You're not going to lash out like that here. Suck on this and settle down." Leo hesitated, his face burning with embarrassment. "Miss Evans, this is ridiculous." "Mommy," she corrected him softly, "and it's not ridiculous. It's exactly what you need right now." Leo froze, but to his surprise, obeyed. As the soothing rubber filled his mouth, his frustration ebbed away. Miss Clara smiled warmly, stroking his hair. "Good boy. See how much easier it is when you let Mommy help you?" That moment marked a turning point for Leo. The line between detention and care blurred completely. Miss Clara's praise and gentle touches filled a void he hadn't realized was there, and he began leaning into the comfort she offered. It wasn't long before detention no longer felt like a punishment. Miss Clara began inviting Leo to her home after school, insisting that he needed a safe, stable environment. He was hesitant at first, but her calm, reassuring tone made it impossible to refuse. When he entered her house for the first time, he was shocked to find she had already prepared a nursery for him. The room was decorated in soft pastel colors, with a crib against one wall, a changing table stocked with diapers and supplies, and shelves lined with stuffed animals and children's books. A rocking chair sat by the window, and the scent of lavender filled the air. "Miss Evans, Mommy? What is this?" he asked, his voice trembling between confusion and a strange sense of gratitude. "This is for you, sweet boy," she said, guiding him into the room. "You work so hard at school, even if it doesn't always seem like it. You need a place where you can just be taken care of." She led him to the changing table and helped him onto it, her movements deliberate and unhurried. Leo found himself lying back, the tension leaving his body, as she gently fastened him into a fresh diaper. She hummed softly as she worked, a lullaby-like tune that made him feel safe. "There we go," she said, finishing with a pat on the front of the diaper. "All snug now. How about some playtime before dinner?" At first, Leo felt awkward playing with the toys she provided, blocks, plush animals, and colorful stacking rings. But Miss Clara's encouragement made him feel less self-conscious. She sat on the floor with him, clapping her hands whenever he built a tower or hugged a stuffed animal. "You're such a clever baby," she said, full of pride. By the end of the evening, Leo was curled up in the crib, clutching a stuffed rabbit as Miss Clara read him a bedtime story. Her soothing voice lulled him to sleep, and for the first time in years, he felt completely at peace. Leo's life changed completely as he spent more time with Miss Clara. She became not just his teacher, but his caregiver, his protector, and the mother figure he had always needed. She encouraged him to share his feelings, patiently listening as he opened up about his struggles at school and his difficult home life. Her unwavering support gave him a sense of security he had never known. Their routine became second nature. After school, Leo would go straight to Mommy's house where his nursery awaited. Whether it was cuddling in her lap during story time or playing with his toys on the soft carpet, Leo found solace in the life Miss Clara had given him. She wasn't just his teacher anymore, she was his everything. And in Miss Clara's eyes, Leo wasn't just a student who needed saving, he was her little boy, her pride and joy, and the bond they shared was one she would cherish forever.